Good morning. Good morning. Thanks for joining me today. It is Thursday. I don't know why I always feel like I have to update you on the date, but you have made it to Thursday. Let me see if anyone's jumping on. Check my comments here. Oh, one more try. There we go. Yes, welcome. I know I feel like I just got done with many of you. If you did Stamp Joy Virtual this weekend. Good morning, Deb. And here, watch. Let's see if I can see if I put my glasses on. I see David and Rachel. Good morning. Good morning, everyone. Good morning, Karen from Plainfield, Illinois. Welcome. Welcome. Good morning. Stamp Joy was awesome. Good. I feel like we just did this. If you did Stamp Joy this last weekend, thank you all for joining us. We had a lot of fun, tons of giggles, and I've been really enjoying on the fan page, or it could be just on our Stamp Joy Virtual Facebook page, but there were so many amazing cards. I love everyone's new take on the cards, and even if they followed along, I just love seeing them, that you were able to execute it based on our teaching, so that was wonderful. Good morning from Michigan and Montana and a wet California. Good morning, and Sacramento and Knoxville. I love it. Sally and Martha and Kelly, good morning. You guys are all up and ready to join me. Thank you. I hope you have been having a great week. It's beautiful here in Iowa, and I love saying that. I even got to go wash my car today, which I know probably doesn't make sense because we're supposed to get rain tomorrow, but I just couldn't take it anymore. It had gotten so dirty last week from some rain that we got through here. So good morning. Oh, I love that I had so much fun at Stamp Joy. I'm seeing several of you. Thanks for saying so. We always, especially Taylor and I and the design team, we put so much work into it that there's so much work, and then the lead up, and oh my gosh, then it's all done. All that we've been thinking about for 6 months or at least is all done, and it seems kind of crazy. And then I'm like, wait, can we go back and do that again, or that card again? So good morning. And this week has been a week, we called it a technique week, where we just had some new things and some things that kind of had been in Stamp Joy in person this last year. So there were several things that came out this week that I'm so excited are now a part of our main catalog that I have known about and we've had to kind of tuck away. So, hi Taylor. Good morning. And Paula from Louisiana and Beth, wow. Oh, Beth, that's awesome. This year's Stamp Joy Virtual was the best yet. Thank you. We loved hearing that. That really do appreciate it. Thanks for those comments. We need to hear it because we always wonder what y'all thought and if you had fun. So today I do have tea to spill at the end, but my one reminder for you is that summer school, the foiling classes that Taylor and I are going to do, you can sign up now, and the deadline is March 24th for your $20 off. But make sure you just get it done, and then it's out of your thoughts. And then if you don't have a Mink, wait for your email confirming your class, and then you can get a discount on your Mink too if you're looking into doing that. So I heard Taylor say this on the live on Tuesday. Does anyone actually have a Mink that they've purchased and it's still in the box at home? I am super curious. Give me a raise your hand or a yes, just because I'm so curious. I can't imagine. I love my Mink. You all know I love foiling. I love adding that shine without the loose glitter. So, sorry, I can't see your name. I have already seen some signed up. She loves foiling. That's wonderful. It might be Bobby. Forgive me. Got to put my glasses on if I'm going to read that. But anyway, so don't forget about that. It's one thing to remind you of. And we're going to get into talking about perf paper. So let me get you down here. There we go. So I wanted to talk to you about perf paper and how you can use it kind of in a different way. I don't think anyone has shown this yet. Taylor showed blending on it with stencils and getting that second paper underneath to pick up some of the ink. So I wanted to show you how you can use that leftover that's sitting up on top of your stamp to create a second card. So these are the cards we're going to create today. I'm using just older products that we've had around for a while. I feel like Simple Silhouettes maybe doesn't get much of our attention. I love this one. I'm mainly going to use this. I just love the basicness of this set. I feel like it's really good if you want to make a soft card or like a thinking of you or a sympathy card. This happens to be a set I grab a lot for guys' cards too. So fun die set, but I really needed something that had this more solid area that I could play with. And we'll get into that. And that's what I'm going to show you today. I do kind of want to show you a couple of caveats before I start, or a couple of like side things. Over the weekend, someone that was in Stamp Joy with us asked me about, or asked the group about stamping on this perf paper, because the Stamp Joy virtual guests were the first ones to get to see the perf paper, and they did a make and take. Sorry, I was reading comments quick there, but those people got it first, so we blended on it for one of the cards, and then someone had said, can you emboss on it? And so I thought, I really want to try that, because you know me, I love my embossing. So I want to show you how easy it is to emboss on. I'm going to go ahead and grab just a piece. This is one of the 8.5 by 11s cut in half, but I'm going to give it one more cut so that we can have it be A2 size, just so I can show you how easy this is. I am using my guillotine today just because I prefer it when I'm cutting this paper. One, this is so funny. I love the sound it makes. Is that funny? I just love it. And I don't know, if your blade is at all getting dull on some of the other trimmers, it'll kind of tear or pull at it. So anyway, I'm going to use that today just because I really appreciate the cut that it gives me. I also really love when I can cut right through the center of one of those lines of circles, and with a guillotine I can see it and really ensure that. Okay, so I'm going to put down, I want just to put just a little bit of tape runner. I would use our temporary, but I forgot to grab any, so no big deal. This is one time with embossing that if you don't powder first, it's really not that big a deal. You might not even need to, you could be able to skip it. I'm not sure. You know me, I love embossing, and I know I need to use my powder tool, so I just use it. So thanks for replying, because I'm not seeing anything on my end with the focus on the camera. So I'm going to grab this. It's a Midnight Blooms background. I just think it's really pretty. So this one I did with copper. So today I thought maybe I would try gold just to see what that looks like. Set that on there. And then grab my, oops, Versamark, sorry, that was loud. Versamark decided to make a run for it today. The one thing that I have found is that this perf paper embosses beautifully, but you can burn it. Ask me how I know. I didn't actually like burn like with smoke and all of that. It just kind of turned a little yellow on me, so be careful. Don't have your heat tool too close. Be cautious about that. I'm going to do this twice just because I can, because I glued it in place. I will tell you what I'm going to show you with using my main focus today is the two cards that you get out of one. It doesn't work with this embossing, that I will tell you. I didn't get the same results out of it. So let's grab this. We'll pull this up. I'm gonna get this off of here because we won't need this later. But I just wanted to show you how pretty it embosses. And then I also thought you could keep this going too, because you can ink blend on this. The one thing I would tell you is be careful of your edges, because if you're ink blending and you catch any of these like open half circles that I cut through, your brush might catch a little. So just something to be aware of, to be very light with your hand if you are going to ink blend, because I thought this could be really pretty. Ink blended over too. But isn't that fun? And I must have missed right here a little bit, but that's on me. I felt like that second time I didn't really press very hard. Or did I just skip it? So there you go. This is on me. I must not press in the middle very well because I had no problem the other day with my copper that I did, but I think it'll still be pretty, and I can put my sentiment right there. Funnel this back in. This paper out of the way. And we will grab my heat tool. I am going to get Marilyn in here. I hate the feel of embossing powder on my work surface. The other day that I got my little Dyson handheld out to try to get it off my glass surface, and it barely pulled up the embossing powder. Actually, this thing worked better. I went up to my office and got my little vacuum, and it worked better than my Dyson did. I thought that was kind of crazy. Could have maybe been the angle I was at, but just make sure. Normally, I always try to warn you to stay, you know, an inch or two away from your paper. When it comes to this perf paper, I would stay at least 2 inches away, because you can kind of, and I'm not really sure why, but it will burn or overheat a little bit. So just make extra sure to stay a couple of inches away from your perforated paper. Isn't that fun? Look at that. You can totally see on here where I've embossed and where I haven't. But again, make extra sure you just kind of stay a little bit back. But this is absolutely something you can emboss on, which is one of my favorite things. There we go. Again, the little spots that I have that aren't embossed, that's not the paper or the stamp, that's the user. So let me show you that. It's easier to see if I put a piece of cardstock behind it. Isn't that pretty? I think white would almost be better. Let's grab white. Isn't that pretty? Again, this is on me because you can see I actually could do it properly. This was my card that I did the other day with that same Midnight Blooms with the copper, RTE copper embossing powder. And I trimmed it down, layered it on a piece of sugar cube cardstock, and I did add this frame. It's frame and frame 3. I added that because I did add a little foam tape behind that frame so I could get just a little bit of dimension in there. So I thought it kind of gave it a little bit of a lift and kind of a shadow, and that was my way to kind of hide that foam tape so it's behind there. Don't you just love the copper? I agree. This is Sour Gummy cardstock that I embossed on. I'm obsessed with our copper, just sometimes I kind of forget to use it, and when I have a card like this where it doesn't matter, you know, what colors I choose or what background I'm working with, I grab that copper. I just think it's so pretty. Anyway, so I wanted to show you that you can totally emboss on it. This was my first trial run of does this work. I had used that same branch from the Simple Silhouettes, and I had embossed that in copper. I thought that was pretty. I could see a whole background with that. Anyway, that was just my little side note of something I wanted to show you. All right, I'm gonna make sure my work surface is clean before we get started here. Okay, so my biggest thing with doing this technique is to make sure that you use a MISTI. I think it's the one way to make sure that you get this and everything's in place, and you can get 2 cards out of it then that way. So what I want to start with, of course, like I said, is my MISTI, and I put down a piece of paper in the bottom, whether you use the MISTI sheets that are meant for it or you cut down a piece of paper to go inside of your MISTI. And I did use a little tape runner behind my paper because I want to ensure that it stays in place. You can either, sometimes I'll use some teal tape and hold my paper in place, or I use some tape runner underneath it. Just make extra sure. I want that to stay put. I do like to have a magnet nearby. Something else that I just like to have around is the clear, these come in a set with some that are clear and some that are gridded, the MISTI clear alignment panels. Just something I like to have around, but if you have some like packaging or a piece of acetate, that will work too. I just like the sturdiness of these, and we keep them around here at the office. And then you're gonna need, I like to start with the same size, and I know for both of my cards, I am going to cut this down, but I started with a 1/4 sheet of sugar cube and a 1/4 sheet of that perf paper, which makes them both, they both are measured 4 1/4 by 5 1/2. So I do have a little bit of tape runner down here. I might add some more later, but especially for when I'm kind of stamping in the middle here, I'm going to go ahead, put this in the middle. I will be moving this all over the place and moving it around. So really this doesn't have to be perfect, just kind of placed. And then for this one, I'm using this bigger branch, again, from the Simple Silhouettes. And I'm going to start, I just kind of like to start in the middle because this is kind of a big branch and then be able to work my way out from there. So I'll pick this up and I again have my sugar cube cardstock, same size. And I will tell you there is a reason for the same size and I will circle back to that as to the reason why. Maybe I can show it to you. So stamp that, pick it up. I do like it. I do want to make sure, kind of like with that background that I just did, I pay attention to that. I've stamped it well because I could see that I had more ink sitting over here and I wanted to grab it before I would just go ahead and re-ink again. That's the biggest thing with these red rubber. If you see that you have area that's not inked, make sure you close, as long as you use the Misty, the lid again and get all of that ink off, because if you go and re-ink, you're just going to end up with variation in your tones. So hold on, let me see. I'll answer your question here in a sec. Will the perf paper tear with the sticky mat? I don't know. I haven't worked with one, so I can't answer that. So I'm pulling off the perf paper. Again, being as I use the Misty with our grid paper with the panel, I know exactly where the middle is. Put that sugar cube down and I can re-stamp this because could you see all the polka dots on there? So look what we get. So we get the being as perforated paper only is picking up the ink from where it's flat. Everything that is an actual hole or the dots of the perforated paper, the openings, stays on the stamp. So if I put another piece of paper down, look how pretty that is. Isn't that fun? And I love how it actually is like a tone on tone. So the rubber must have had, you know how we can get second and third generations out of our red rubber stamps? That is fun because some of that ink is there. That's how I get my actual lines all the way out to the edges. Isn't that cool? I don't know. That sticky mat is a really good question. I don't know, just being I don't work with that. So I am going to, one of the reasons why I like to use my Misty and I like to use the bigger one is that I can start moving this around to whatever area I want. And this is where this clear piece comes into play. So I don't have to clean my stamp. This is just me being lazy. And I can pick another spot for my stamp to go, trying to tuck them into each other a little bit. But this way I don't have to clean my stamp in the meantime. I can use that clear piece to protect my paper, and I am going to switch back to my perforated paper. I don't think I'm going to bother cleaning my stamp. I don't think I did it the first time, mainly because I'm just going back and forth between green tea and Brussels sprouts. If you were switching maybe to more extremely different colors, you might need to do that, but I didn't for my project. So then we'll go in. This time I'm going to use green tea because these are kind of tucking into each other. Press that down. And then again, I will pick this up, set my sugar cube back up in that corner. Just, you have to keep following that, whatever alignment you used, whether you use the middle of your Misty or you decide which corner. I move mine around a lot because to fit this large stamp in the confinements of the A2, I just kind of got to rotate it around. Okay, here, this is the reason why, if I can show you this, the reason why I say to just start with the same size paper for both, because do you see all this ink that's still sitting here? If you were to have a piece of paper that was smaller or larger, you're going to have these little lines of where the ink doesn't quite get down and off. Does that make sense? So I can pick this up and just go like this to show you. I can't even get it off of there, but you'll have these lines of where things didn't quite connect from the last stamping. Let me see, could you have the paper under the perf paper? No, let me show you, because if you're noticing, I'm not actually getting any ink through. I think if you could maybe press really hard, maybe you could, but for me, if you're noticing, my misty piece of paper here is not showing any ink. So it's a good thought. It would be nice to be able to save that motion of taking one of them off, but yeah, unfortunately, no. Doesn't work like that. So then I'm gonna come in and kind of, this is where I love having this clear piece so that I don't have to clean. And then if you want, another fun thing to do is to stamp, oh, I think I'll go back to green tea again. Just to add some texture to your project. You can also, so I'll pick this one up, that was green tea. I can see how it's not coming through. All of this extra is just where it's actually coming off the paper. So I don't think you could press hard enough to get it through. The reason why it works for the stencils like Taylor showed you on Tuesday is because those bristles of the brush are able to get down and under and through those openings of the perf paper. So if you wanted some more like definition and something to look just to give you some more texture, we can, for this layer, take the green tea and stamp it right over top. So it's going to give another like tone on tone. And as this dries, you're going to see that this is darker, but also has polka dots. So this one obviously all has to have the polka dots because it's the perf paper. But if you want to do some solid in the background portion, like I did on my card, the solid is kind of fun every once in a while too, because it kind of breaks up all that polka dot. So I will do more of those. But this is where I love that I can rotate my project around quite a bit to kind of get all these different areas. And this even is fun for like if you wanted to do like a die cut or something like that. But this is where I really love being able to tuck in pieces and make my stamps fit kind of into each other, a little puzzle piece. This is where I would love to get my head and my crazy curly hair, frizzy hair underneath there. Pick that up, get this out of the way. I do really pay attention to where the right side up, or so I don't get ink back down on my project. I'm gonna move back to my Brussels sprouts. Stamp that. I just think it's a really fun, pretty look. Who knew some perf paper was going to be taken out of the knitting craft and brought over to our paper craft? Isn't it fun? So I want to stamp that twice, so I grabbed my magnet. So I'm going to do it again. And then this is where, now this time I'm going to take green tea because it'll show up lighter than that. But I want some more solid to kind of break up all this polka dot. Just make sure I've got all of it. Checking your comments. Yes, have you tried using dies on the perf paper? Yes, we have. We haven't had anything yet so far that we didn't love it with. So this was a frame and frame, I think this might be frame and frame 2 that we cut this frame out of. Absolutely cuts beautifully. No issues with die cutting at all. Yeah, I haven't found anything that I didn't really love it with just yet. So it's kind of fun. Let's grab my clear panel back again. Like fill in this kind of area over here. I might leave this one polka dot because I feel like I've done solid. Now we'll come over here and do a little polka dot. Again, flip my papers. I do like having just a little some tacky in there. I think that helps. I just keep switching back and forth. It's just more the time consuming part is like making sure I like my layout. If you picked a leaf that was a little bit smaller, I thought this leaf, this branch could make just, it was gorgeous when I embossed it. So I think it would be gorgeous doing the same background with. So again, switch my paper. Try to keep it close and don't go too far with it. This one I think I'm gonna leave as is. And then this is where I do kind of start moving it around just so I can see where I can go next. I think I'll go try to fill in here. If not, this is where I just start rotating my things around my Misty just to get it just where I want. Let's come in, maybe going this way. How about there? I try to tuck it in. I know some of that edge of that red rubber, it's not cut right up against it, so I have some space to wiggle a little bit. So let's put that there. The reason why I usually leave the white, the sugar cube down on the bottom, is it's just a lot easier for me to see where I'm going. Because the perf paper, just not quite as easy to see with. So let's go. I think this was green tea, this was green tea, this was Brussels, I believe. Let's go back in with my Brussels again. And this works too. I did do the same thing with that Midnight Bloom that I had embossed earlier. Let me make sure I'm calling it by the right name. Yep, the Midnight's Blooms background. I did that one with my favorite ink right now, Sour Gummy. And that's how I created that background. So I did this one, and then I immediately threw in some saltwater taffy cardstock and stamped on that again. And I think that's really cool. So if you don't want to fussy where I'm kind of trying to pick my placement here, absolutely do just a basic background instead. The first time I did this, I kept cleaning my stamp every time, and then I was like, why am I doing this? I should just grab my Misty so that I can just keep going. Much easier. I'm gonna make this one a little more solid. I like the dots on it, but again, trying to break up some of that perforated. It gets a little busy. All right, I might rotate this down to this corner so that then I can move things down here. And if you need to clean up, just a baby wipe will wipe up that Misty grid line. I might have to move this up a smidge. I'm running out of space for my tail or the end of my stem to have somewhere to go. Let's go right in here. I think this one, I'm going to change my mind. I'm going to go in here, and then this one can be perforated again or left perforated. Then this one I'll make a little more solid when I come back over there. Okay. Let's swap this for this one. Back to my green tea, but whichever way you want to go. I don't think there's any breaking of any rules with this one. Kind of picking your placement. So no, we've done the perforated paper with all kinds of things. You can cut it, you can die cut it, you can emboss on it. Whitney and Taylor even tried, one of them tried putting paste on it. You can put paste on it. You can you see that? You can put it through an embossing folder. That one's even harder to see, but the possibilities are limitless. But I have to tell you, stamping on it and ink blending on it are just such wow that I just can't even help myself. So I'm going to leave that one as is. So we have just one little corner left to deal with. Let's see, how can I get this in my Misty? Let's try over here. One more little area, and this is going to be a more solid one just to kind of break up some of that perforation. Might have to move that. I like that placement, but do you see the tail of my stamp? Oh, I might be fine. I've never done that, but it just is hanging out. Seems to be not a problem. So we will grab my perf paper back. I think I'm going to stamp it in Brussels this time just because I know I'm going to go over it with green tea. So we'll grab the Brussels sprouts, ink that up. I don't have long sleeves today, so it's good to have the just press tool. All right, grab that, put this in. One more stamping. I'm gonna add a little bristles. Can you see that line? That is where, I don't know, are you gonna be able to pick up on that? Do you see that little line? That's from my perf paper, must be a smidge smaller. And that's why I'm saying I try to end up with a piece, two pieces that are the same, but it must be just a smidge off from each other. So I'm gonna clean this just so I don't have that. I'm gonna show you what I mean. It really does make a difference if you want both of your pieces to come out nice in the end. Clean that. I cleaned it just so I could get rid of that line. So there's our background. Let's grab the other one. And I'm going to be purposeful about this just so I can show you what I'm talking about. I need to find some scrap paper. Let's grab, I don't want to ruin any of our beautiful perforated paper. Okay, I'm gonna stamp that up there, show you what I mean. So if we have this, we ink it up, stamp it, and then we have a piece of sugar cube that's smaller. I need to be purposeful about the smaller here. Actually, I want it to be bigger so you can see what I'm talking about. Can you see how you get this weird line? It's where nothing touched the perf paper, or none of the ink touched the perf paper or your mat, and you'll get a strange little line. So that is my biggest tip to you, is just to make sure I start with the same two sizes and then cut down from there. It's also nice to cut down because you can kind of decide what portion of your cardstock that you like, or what portion of your image is your favorite. So I'm going to cut these down. This one I'm just going to cut down to 4 by 5 1/4, and this one I'm going to cut down to a little bit different, like sizing. I just liked the layout because it was just a little bit different, which ends up being 3 3/4 by 5 1/4. So let me grab my trimmer. I'm going to go ahead and use my guillotine for both. It is awkward. I heard Taylor say it's a little awkward in the frame because it's big. But again, here is where my perf paper must have been a smidge smaller than my sugar cube, so I'm going to go ahead and cut that off. Because I can pick an area, I'm going to cut this down to be 5 1/4 by 3 3/4. And again, you can pick whichever side you think you need some trimming off. I might trim off just on a little bit on both sides here. But get it down to 3 3/4. Okay, I'm gonna look. I like that there's a lot more going on over here than there is over there, so I think I'm gonna take it off of that side. So again, this is where I like being able to pick what I want to see. I like all that perforation in there. So then this one, I don't think I have much that I don't like, so we'll just go down to 4 by 5 1/4. Will make a loud noise. Sorry for anyone that's got it. I kind of like the noise though. I feel like I'm really getting something major done. So 5 1/4 by 3 3/4. Or wait, this one's 4 by 5 1/4. Sorry. This one is my 3 3/4 by 5. Yep. So there we go. Get rid of my scraps. And we can, I've got a side fold card base and a top fold card base of toffee. And these, I just adhered them flat. So the perf paper, if you just catch some glue, even if some of the glue comes through the openings in the perf, as long as you use a glue that dries clear and just dries. You don't want to use a glue that is the two glue where it can dry temporary or permanent. You'll get a sticky mess. Like the green topped Tombow, don't want to use that. But any of like the The Misty Glue Press would be great. I know Heather likes the matte medium. That would be great. I like the Barely Arts glue. Any of those will be great options for you. Just don't pick one that is like, what do they call that? Two-way glue, I think is what they call it. And I just run along and not concern myself whether it's where it's landing, because the glue just kind of makes its way back to the flat part. And if I do see any glue, it dries clear. Just make sure whatever is underneath is not, because look at that. Just make sure you either use a glass board or scratch piece of paper underneath. Because yes, I can see glue, but it will dry and it will dry clear. So we will set that aside and I will wipe up my mat. But again, this will dry clear and it doesn't mess with my ink. So this is where I don't want to put a block or my magnet on top of there because I don't want to get glue on it. I will press that down. While I'm waiting on that, I can take this piece and I want top folding card base, toffee, and I'm gonna pop this up. I didn't on my original, I wish I'd had, so for this one I'm going to. Again, fold that. Put some adhesive behind it. Some of my 1/32, which is my favorite. Awesome. I remember just kind of testing the perf paper and I was like, look at all that ink. I feel like it's one of those second generation things. So I threw some paper in there and I was like, this works awesome. Again, like with this, I do like being able to pick which end I like better. I like this end a little bit better, so I'm gonna just peel one end of this up, center it. You guys have been telling me this for a long time, how some of you put glue over top of your foam tape, because I only revealed one of them. And I do this sometimes when the card is simple and it has to be just perfect. I will put a little bit of that adhesive on top of my foam tape so that I can wiggle it around a little bit. Until I'm not quite straight over here. I can let that dry and then peel the other backers off. And I did just to kind of, I wanted something to kind of fill in these backgrounds. You can already see that this is drying. I wanted to fill in the backgrounds, but I wasn't really sure because I didn't want it to be floral. I wanted just something else. So I grabbed our dragonfly die. It's called Dragon Tails, and I grabbed a new packaging because we don't have it, the Dragon Tails. This came out a while ago and has two different size dragonflies and their bodies. So I cut them out of sugar cube cardstock, and then these are out of vellum. And I colored them with alcohol markers. I used our Olos. So there's some little ones, and I didn't splatter. I apologize, and I've already glued it down. But this, my original one, I splattered them. Can you see all the splatter in the background? But I didn't want to wait for that to dry. So hopefully you'll like the outcome anyway. I already took some of the vellum and sugar cube cardstock and I cut out some of my little dragonflies. I'm going to show you with the two bigger, with one of each of the bigger one here. Let me grab just some sugar cube or something, a scratch piece of paper, whatever you have. And with vellum, alcohol will dry on it, and you can, if you color it on the back side, it's a lot lighter. Here, I'll flip this dragonfly over. And whatever color alcohol marker you choose, it will look lighter on the vellum than what it actually is. So if you're looking for something dark, you're probably gonna have to go darker with your color, but definitely test before you go. So that's colored on the back side of the vellum. Let me show you one from the front side of the vellum. Just as a little bit lighter if you color from the back. And I do try really hard just to do one swipe on each of those wings. And the reason why is because it can kind of create like a streak the more you go over it. So I would really encourage you to just go over it if you can, just the one swipe. Let's see if I can get these two on here. Isn't this crazy? So can you see the variation a little bit in color? This is the one I colored on the top. This is the one where I colored just on the back side. And if you do both, the front and the back, it gets even darker. So this is the one that I colored on the back. Let me show you if I color on the front, it will get even darker. This is getting closer to that true color of my marker. And I'm ignoring the body, if you notice. So this one's both sides and this one was just the front. I'm getting closer to the color of actual marker now. Isn't that pretty? And this color, if any of you have asked, is BG 7.6. This one is splattered with the Gonzai gold. I just didn't want to wait for it to dry. But these I did splatter, just the ones I'm making today I didn't. Plus I'm not an expert at splattering, so I just skipped it for these. It is a little bit, gives it a little more texture in the background. But there are my dragonflies. And then what I would do is grab a little bit of liquid glue, and I already cut their bodies out of our newish, I feel like, cardstock that's called Latte. It's one of our newer colors. Let me grab my pick and place tool and my glasses because these are tiny. Oops. The body just flipped over right at the last second. That's a good part about the glues we use here in the studio is they dry clear. So isn't that a pretty dragonfly? And then we can grab one for this other. And then I'll show you the other set I stamped them out on, or cut them out of sugar cube cardstock and just used alcohol markers. Again, you could use whatever medium works for you to color their wings in. We'll set those two aside. So for the sugar cube ones, I used two lighter markers. I used still BG, but 7.2 and 7.3 to color those in. And I took the lighter one. Again, I'm ignoring the body because I'm going to cover that up with our latte bodies. Swipe that just to give it some color. I could have cut this out of colored cardstock. I'm sure you're asking that. I just like the dimension that I got from doing this. So you can either swipe or do little dots. So if I swipe, I get a dragonfly that looks like this. Or if I do dots, I get more of like a texture that kind of reminds me of our perf paper. Oh, I grabbed the wrong. Nope, I was good. 7.3. No, I did do it wrong. Let's try again. Somehow I got my darker color back over here. So 7.2 to be my base. And then I can take the 7.3 and just do little dots. I'll hold them both up so you can see them better. I might adhere the bodies quick. All right. Let's adhere the bodies to this one. These are so tiny. You need some sort of pick and place something or embelly jelly, something to get those bodies set down on there. They're very tiny. I suppose we work with a lot of smaller things, right? Like our embellishments and stuff, but all right, let's grab one more body. Again, this is out of our latte cardstock. I like to pick it up and make sure they're aligned well. Seems like the easier thing for me to do. just gonna grab a white piece of paper so I could put this underneath of here for you. Let me just grab this. This will work. So that's the flicked color, and that's when I just kind of dotted the color on with the Olos. And these are, again, the ones with the vellum. So I won't bore you. I did up a whole bunch before I started today so that I could put them together for you without making you watch me glue and color. And then I also embossed with gold embossing powder, Hello Friend, on sour gummy with some gold. And I have some sentiments for us to use. But the placement, wherever you want to go with that, let's grab some more foam adhesive. Put it behind our sentiment. I just always reach for our 1x3s. I feel like that's mainly what I keep in my stamp room at home even, because then I can just cut it to whatever size I would like. Add our Hello Friend right in the center here. The good part with this perf paper, as long as you have it cut evenly at the bottom, you should be able to follow a line of perforation across. So, and because I didn't flick this one, I could add little gold gems or something later. This one is where I chose to add the vellum. I just felt like it lets you see through all those polka dots that are coming through the toffee, because toffee is my card base, so that you could see all of that kind of coming through. So let's grab some liquid glue, and I am going to kind of follow my original for where I have some of my butterflies here and there. I haven't found that I can really see the glue, so, oh good, Pam. I'm calling Pam, I guess. I love it. Or do you mean the card? Maybe you mean the card, sorry. I can adhere my dragonflies where I want them to be. I swear a pick and place tool is my friend with these guys. Because I did move in my original arrangement, I moved my dragonflies around a lot. I think it really kind of depends where your design ends up landing, and I don't think I could recreate my design again, because I feel like you just kind of turn the cardstock until you like your placement of things. There we go. Oh, the rainbow bowls, yes, they were a gift. So aren't they cute? I can never in my stamp room have too many bowls. I don't know about you guys. I was just cleaning. I've been telling you guys you're going to be hearing this for at least another couple of months. I'm cleaning, and I have bowls, but they're going to stay in my stamp room because I use them. I use them a lot. So sorting die cuts, like even today before coming on the live, I had all of these that I had already embossed so that you don't have to listen to the heat tool today twice. I grabbed that stuff and I like to put my little die cuts if I have them, or for here I have my dragonflies, or if I'm working with small dies, I'll use my little bowls to throw small dies in there. I use it for dumping out all my embellishments. I just love my little bowls, and my favorite is our star trinket tray right now, because if I am using embellishments, the star trinket tray has kind of one of the, points of the star help me funnel everything back in, and I like that. I do kind of miss the splatter on this one. I'll have to add embellishments later. But it's also very clean and simple too. I am going to have to get this on my grid sheet so I can see if it's straight. And my ruler. Can't help myself. Simple cards, I feel like that's where it really matters, that things are clean and straight and stamped well. And then we can add some of our dragonflies. Again, I'm going to follow my arrangement that I already have done. It'll make it a lot easier for me. Oh, I clogged my Barely Arts glue. That's a rare one. I really love this color, these colors of Olos. These blues, especially the soft blue. These two that I used on the sugar cube, the 7.2 and the 7.3, the BGs. They just make such a pretty soft blue. I have to write that down somewhere just so I don't forget them. All right, we need a bigger dragonfly up here and a smaller one coming down here. Almost done, and then I can spill some tea for next week. I had fun with my assignments for next week, and I will be here on Tuesday, and I can't wait to show you that project. It was fun. Fun little project. Because Taylor gets to go take vacation, so yay for her. You get to have me two times in a row. One more dragonfly. Let's put it down in here somewhere. There we go. That seems like good placement. There we go. All right, and I can fill in with some silver drip drops just to offset where I have the gold splatter on this one. My original cards. Let me get this stuff out of the way. So there we go. What do you think? I definitely think I like the splatter better, but I do think there's something really clean and simple about not having them too. So there you go. So get 2 cards out of 1 project or 1 round of stamping. So yes, Jane agrees with me. She loves the little bowls. Yes, I can't have enough. Even the other day I ordered some new square ones from Target. Can't help myself. So are you ready for some tea? I know we hate to say it, but we always need it. I think these would make great sympathy cards too. I think they're clean and simple, and I like the colors too if I need a masculine card. But so next week, come back and join me on Tuesday at 10 a.m. and we have a new release for you. Check the fan page on Saturday to see kind of the sneak peeks that they'll be sharing with you there. And then here's my tea for the day. I feel like I need one of our napkins while I do this, being as I get to spill the tea today. Okay, we're going to spill the tea. Are you ready? These are both cards that I made. Not what I'm doing on the live next week, but hopefully, I don't know. I don't want to reveal too much. It might have something to do with you customers and some requests you might have made. So come back and join us on next Tuesday at 10 a.m. And don't forget to check the fan page and our social media over the weekend to see what's coming up. I hope you have a great rest of your week and weekend. See you soon.